Sixth grade scholars, welcome to week 10 of RPS at home. You have done a fantastic job of working through weeks 1 through 10. I congratulate you. I am Miss Terry, and we're going to work through Math at Miss Terry's house for the rest of this week. Our lesson will continue from your work with Miss Barr last week. Congruent or non-congruent? That is our question of the week. Our objective of the day, I will be able to identify polygons and angles. You're going to need your notebook, your pencils, a ruler, a straight edge. Colored pencils may be helpful, but they're optional, or crayons. What do you notice? What do you wonder? So let's take a gander at this information here. I want you to write down in your notebook 2 columns. Head 1 that says notice, head the other that says wonder. And then I just want you to just take a look at all of the objects here and just jot down what do you notice about them and what do you wonder about them. Go ahead and pause the video for about 1 minute and get that information jotted down. Great job. Now, we're going to talk about these at the end of our session to see if we noticed and wondered some of the same things. Our vocabulary for the week is listed here. Now, I want you to notice you see an asterisk. You're going to see this asterisk around a few of the vocabulary words because these are some of the words in which you reviewed last week with Ms. Barr. Go ahead and write down any of the vocabulary words that may be unfamiliar to you as I go through them. A polygon, a closed plane figure composed of 3 or more line segments that do not cross. A circle is not a polygon. A regular polygon. A polygon is regular when all the angles are equal, which is called equiangular, and all sides are equal, which is called equilateral. Here are our line segments denoted by the tick marks. If you see me circling here, denoted by the tick marks that states that they are congruent. And then we have our circle, semicircle here for each of the angles, which state that they are all of the same congruence. Okay. Then we have an irregular polygon. So that's when the sides or your sides are not the same or your angles may not all be the same. And they could be convex or concave. Concave just means there is a little dip. It's kind of a little dip in the middle. Congruent, you see the asterisk, are objects that have the same shape and the same size. And of course, you have that congruent symbol here. Symmetry is when you divide that in half. If you can divide it into a half using a line of symmetry, it gives you identical figures. It will give you identical halves. When an image is divided and it doesn't give you an identical half, it's called asymmetrical. So I want to make sure you know that word too, or just get kind of familiar with those words. A similar figure have the same shape, but not necessarily the same size. Okay, so they can be a bigger and a smaller version of itself, has the same shape, exact same shape, just one is bigger and one is smaller. Angle is formed when we have 2 lines that meet at a shared point, and that point is called a vertex. Vertices when you're talking plural. So we have basically 4 types of angles. We have an acute angle, which is here, which is an angle that measures less than 90 degrees. So then you say, well, what is 90 degrees? Well, here's your 90-degree angle. and that gives you exactly 90 degrees. And then you have an obtuse angle, which is an angle measuring more than 90 degrees. A straight angle is just that. It's straight. It's basically a straight line. Whether it's horizontal, whether it's vertical, a straight angle is a straight line, and it measures 180 degrees. It can be diagonal, so that's a straight angle. One way, and I like to kind of think about this, if we think about if you don't have a way to measure, you can always use the paper trick. If you look at the angle of a piece of paper, typically it will form a right angle. So I'm just looking and running it with my finger. That is a right angle. And then you can determine if it is obtuse because it'll give you something bigger, or acute because it will give you something that's going to be smaller in this area. Our types of polygons. Well, we're going to start with a triangle. Why a triangle? It is a three-sided closed figure that has the three line segments and three angles. And it is closed. Most important word, closed. And these are our types of triangles. We have an equilateral triangle, which is considered regular. Can you tell me why is it regular? Based on our vocabulary, it's regular because all sides are congruent and all angles are congruent. And it has three lines of symmetry. We have a right triangle. And it's a right triangle basically because one of your angles will equal 90 degrees. Sides can be different, and it also has 0 or 1 line of symmetry. We have an isosceles triangle. Two sides are congruent as denoted by our tick marks here, and two of the angles are also congruent, which has our arch following with my pointer, and it has 1 line of symmetry. Then we have a scalene triangle in which all of the sides are at different lengths and all of the angles are different measures and no lines of symmetry. And if you look at that scalene triangle here, you can see that is 1 length, 2 lengths, 3 lengths, and they're all different denoted by our tick marks. And the same thing by our arch. That's 1, that's 2 of them, and 3 of them, just to tell us that they could all be different measurements. Other types of polygons are quadrilaterals. A figure that has 4 closed line segments and 4 angles is called a quadrilateral. In our quadrilateral family, we have several other components that fall under the name quadrilateral, and these are some. We have a square, a parallelogram, a rectangle, a rhombus, a kite, and a trapezoid. So here there are listed some different types of trapezoids, or we have just a regular trapezoid. We have a isosceles trapezoid because these two sides are equal. We have just a regular trapezoid. If something is just a basic quadrilateral because really nothing, it doesn't fit the characteristics of other quadrilaterals, it's just a quadrilateral. We have parallelogram, we have a kite, a rhombus, a rectangle, and a square. I know you can tell me now why a square is considered regular. You guessed it, because all of the sides are congruent and all of the angles are 90 degrees. Now we have more types of polygons. Again, polygons are named by the number of sides in which they have. If it has 5 sides, it is called a pentagon. 6 sides is a hexagon, and so forth and so on. So I can count the sides. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, pentagon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it's an hexagon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, heptagon. And 8 sides is called an octagon. 9 sides is called a nonagon. And 10 sides is called a decagon. So again, we're going to stop there. There are more. So please know there are more polygons based on the size, but we're just going to stop at decagon. I want you to go back to the what do you notice and what do you wonder page in your notebook. What are some of the things that you listed? So what do you notice? I noticed that there are two figures that are concave. That's what I noticed up here. What do I notice down at the bottom? I noticed that this is not a polygon. But then I also thought this is not a polygon. And I also thought that this was not a polygon. But then I wondered, well, why are they on the page with the rest of them? That's a very valid question. Well, I wondered that, but then I could answer my question too because I know this is not a polygon. Why is that? Because it was opened. This is not a polygon because it's not three or more segments, line segments. It's just a line. Then I looked at this and I'm like, I wonder why they're in the center, all emboldened by these beautiful colors, the red, the yellow, and the blue, and they're in this little film strip. Wonder why that was the case. But then I noticed that they will all be considered regular polygons because they all had the same, they all have the congruent sides and they all have congruent angles based on each picture. Congruent sides, congruent angles. Same thing with this regular hexagon, this equilateral triangle, and this equilateral or regular heptagon. In your learning plan, you're going to click on the video that states congruent or non-congruent. You're going to answer the following questions from that video. But let's go ahead and continue with this session first. But from that video, you're going to answer the following questions. You're going to describe what does congruent mean to you, and you're going to determine what types of items can be congruent. Then you're going to do some exploration. Let's see if you can go out and find some congruent figures or items at your home. Don't forget to look outside as well. Take a picture or draw a picture and then link that in your virtual learning assignment and call it congruent exploration and place your name or your school's name in the description. But let's go ahead and finish this session first. Your independent practice, based on all of the things that we have talked about today, is a choice board. You're going to have your choice of selecting any of the three items from mathplay.com. This is also linked in your learning plan. Try to do at least 3 of them. Do all 6 if you like. The practice makes progress. What's coming up next? We're going to talk more about regular polygons. Our objective of the day, I will be able to identify polygons and angles. I think after you do your independent practice, that will be a definite yes. Please take your 10 to 15 minutes to complete at least one lesson in your Dreambox account. I'll see you again at our next session from RPS at Home.